And we are live. Hi, everybody. Stephanie Quayle here with the one and only Alex Kline. We are so excited to be partnering with American Songwriter to share all that there is to share from our collaborations to our very virtual world. But first and foremost, Alex, how are you in California?
I'm great. I mean, I can't complain. I'm in the Sunshine State. I'm in California. So what's there to complain about?
I mean, also the fact that you're making history. Like, we are in the moment right now where you are making history. Has that begun to really resonate? Like, have you said to your parents, like, guys, not now, I'm making history?
Honestly, it hasn't really sunk in. And I have to say, I'm not usually used to being the center of attention with things. So it kind of makes me be like, oh, this is so cool. Okay, now I feel kind of weird talking about this so much or having people point at it so much. But usually it's kind of the opposite. It's usually like something will pop up or I found out some statistic or whatever, and we'll be watching TV and I'll be like, oh, well, I guess blah, blah, blah. And my parents are like, wait, what? Wait a minute, we should open some wine for that. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Yes. I guess we should.
I think you should just have a bottle of champagne next to you all the time, because it's just the beginning. But honestly, even your post, the Billboard lineup of country music producers, and seeing your name, I about came out of my skin. I think I might be your the president of your fan club.
Oh my God. Please. Because I love that.
It's so awesome to just see all that's happening in your life, but the work and the years that came before it to get there, and for those that have been hiding under a rock, Alex is one of the top producers in Nashville, not to mention she is a top 10. Where are we on the chart right now with Tennille's song?
We're number 8. I was like, wait, is it? Yeah, okay. Number 8 on the chart right now. So, yeah. I know.
That's such a big deal.
Me too. Yeah. So it's been a little surreal. And it's a little bit more surreal because I'm in California, a little removed from Nashville at the moment, which I'll be back soon. But there are no country radio stations out here. So there have been no shows this year. So it's kind of just to have this hit happening, but kind of just seeing it on a chart. And that's really how I know, because I'm not hearing it on the radio and I'm not seeing it perform. So it's just oh, well, I hear that this is happening. I guess that's pretty freaking awesome. So
I remember calling you when I saw it go top 10, and you're so calm, cool, and collected. And I think that just speaks to your everything, because I want to go back. I want to go way back. We're going to talk about all the recordings we've been doing virtually and all the cool stuff, and how we've made things COVID awesome. But I want to go back to when you decided to move to Nashville. Does this moment feel like you imagined it? Did you take me back to Alex Kline day one in Nashville?
Oh man, day one in Nashville.
Yeah, I want to go day one.
Oh my God, she was a hot wreck. No, it was
were we all?
The year was 2008. Okay. So September 2008, I had just moved down with some friends that I went to Berklee College of Music with, Katie with a C and Katie with a K, and we moved into a duplex together over on the west side of Nashville. And honestly, I moved to town and we were all kind of more wanting to do Americana music. And a lot of our idols were, Patty Griffin and Gillian Welch and people like that. And we were starting a Americana band together called The Fireman's Daughter. And honestly, the first 9 months or a year that we lived in Nashville, we just quote unquote networked in East Nashville, which is what I like to call just getting drunk in East Nashville with people. And then we called ourselves a band. And then one day we were like, okay, well, we haven't actually played any shows or recorded any music, so we should probably start networking in East Nashville and just actually get to it. So we actually started playing some shows and started recording some music. And that was kind of the first thing that I did in Nashville. I always knew that I wanted to get into writing commercial country music on Music Row, but I just didn't know how to get there. And so that was kind of the beginning of my journey. And then later I ended up, the band broke up like most bands do. And this will date myself even more, but I had videos of myself on MySpace. I don't know if I've told you this story, but I was on MySpace.
No, but I love this story.
And so our band broke up and I was just like, gosh, what am I going to do with myself? Like, and then I went to go check my MySpace page and I hadn't checked my messages in a while. It was kind of when it was like just kind of going on the way out. And so I was like, oh, I haven't checked my MySpace page in a while. Looked at the messages and this guy had messaged me named Jeff Copeland. And he was like, hey, my name's Jeff. I produce Love and Theft. We just had their top 10 single that they had called Runaway, I think it was. He was like, these girls just moved to town from New York, the Arciero sisters, and we need a lead guitar multi-instrumentalist. I saw your MySpace page. I think you might be a good fit. Do you want to come and meet us, meet the girls? And then he was like, by the way, I promise I'm not like some creepo on the internet. Right. And so, which is exactly what a creepo would say on the internet, right? So anyway, so I called him and we ended up getting drinks that night, and then I ended up being in that band, the Luna Bells, and we ended up being on Sony. We got a record deal about 9 months, a year later, and then when, again, things like most bands do fall apart, I finally got my avenue through that, meeting people on Music Row and publishers and labels and all that stuff, which was a great introduction to all these great people in town. And then I decided, after going through the artist ringer for a while, that lifestyle wasn't quite for me, but it made me appreciate what y'all do, because it is not as glamorous as everyone thinks it is. It's a lot of like 5 a.m. lobby calls and riding in minivans and singing in conference rooms and doing crap for free in the beginning and all that stuff, and being away from your loved ones. So anyways, that was kind of I don't know if that answered any of the questions that you were asking.
I love it. I love it. Do you remember when you produced your first track?
Yes.
Was it something that you produced for yourself, or was it for...
So, okay, the answer I think is going to be yes. So, after the Luna Bell situation, I got my first publishing deal, and this was kind of before there were like designated roles of like, there's a quote unquote track person in the room and a top liner and an artist. It was kind of just like people were just kind of starting to make demos at home and not going into to get a full band session all the time. It was like, that was rare. And so I bought Logic mainly because my publisher didn't want me to go into the studio all the time to make, to spend $900 on a demo. So I bought Logic, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to learn how to do like a guitar vocal.
Right.
And if I can do that, then I'll be happy. And anything else, I'm going to go into the studio and have other people do. And it just kind of slowly spiraled into like, well, I should be able to learn how to like add a beat behind this, or add another guitar and do this, that, whatever. And it slowly turned into me, doing a lot of my own demos. And so a lot of it was just for songs that I was writing to get the point across. But the first real thing that I ever produced was for Aaron Enderlin. And so
who we love.
We love for anyone who doesn't know, who wrote Last Call for Leanne Womack and Monday Morning Church for Alan Jackson. And she's also a dear, dear friend. I had, after the Luna Bells, been playing guitar with her out on the road, and we became close, and we were writing together. And she kind of turned to me one day and said, I really want to record an EP, and I think you should produce it. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm not a producer. Like, why would you ask me to do that? And she's like, of course you're a producer. Like, what do you think you've been doing this whole time in your crappy spare bedroom, on Logic? Yeah. And I was like, well, I guess I just thought I was doing demos. She's like, you're a producer. And so, wow. So that was kind of the moment where I was like, okay. And we went into the studio, and I honestly like look back, and I was talking, because it was actually 8 years ago yesterday that we were in the studio. Aaron just posted about it. So we were talking, and I was like, man, I thank you for being my guinea pig, because I really was figuring it out that first time around, but I'm still so proud of that record. It was the I Let Her Talk record.
Oh man, everyone go get this record right now. And huge shout out to Erin. I'm going to shoot her a message because I didn't realize that she was the one that she's like, come on. Come on. That's amazing. So you write songs, you produce. Is there one, like if you had to choose one, is there a choice, or do they each kind of have their own, their own children?
Their own children. You know what? Honestly, I love both of them so much. I mean, I think they kind of feed into each other. I think as a song, I mean, I got into production mainly because I was songwriting. And so I've always kind of considered myself a songwriter first. But I think now that I've gotten into production, they're both like kind of different sides of the brain. I feel like I would go crazy if I was just writing and hoping that people would cut my songs. Or if I was just producing and not having the outlet of writing as well. It's great because a lot of the stuff that I've been blessed to produce are things that I've also co-written. And that's how I've met most of my artists that I've worked with is through the writing room and developing that way. And so they're kind of both a symbiotic relationship. And some days I'll wake up and feel like, man, I'm so grateful that I get to be in the studio or just work on tracks today because I don't want to think about lyrics too much. I just want to get creative and weird, in the studio, and then vice versa, so yeah. One
of my favorite parts of all of this is that we have a couple songs out so far that we've been able to collaborate on, and we'll kind of share some of that. But I've had young females coming up in the industry say, we think it's so cool what Alex is doing. Where does she go to school? What does she do? How does she know she wanted? You don't even probably realize how many young women see you, and then they go, okay, this is possible. Because I think a lot of people don't realize there's just very few female producers in music, period.
Right.
And then country music, it's it's even less. So it's so exciting to be a part of that conversation. And when I think back to, when we first, I can't remember exactly how the first call went when we were all talking about because we had known each other prior to recording, but these songs were our first really okay, let's try this virtual recording, not how you usually do it, all in the room together. And you're such a trooper. Let's try it. Let's try. We've got nothing to lose.
Right.
And it was really cool to make that choice. And we slow walked it. And now I just keep sending you songs. I'm like, Alex, you're like, what are you doing? But let's share that video. Ella, will you share the virtual recording teaser so everyone can kind of get a little bird's eye view of what we did in 2020 with our virtual recording session?
When I say Western, you say...
Nothing excites Stephanie Quayle like the sound of a baritone guitar getting pulled out.
Our first virtual experience altogether through all technology.
Hold on. Last tater tot.
Oh man, it's just I got chill bumps all over my dang body.
It's weird. Every time Adam hits stop and hits play, right before he does that, I want to do it on my computer. I keep reaching for it.
It's back now.
This is technology. Can't be.
Yeah, that's why. And technology hates me. It really does. It just hates me. I don't know what I ever did to it.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I sometimes overdo things. And this is where our air guitar. Oh, so good.
Oh my God, so many flashbacks. That was so great. The tater tots, and you got all the good highlights there.
It was so much fun. I think that, looking back on one of the most challenging, strangest years of hopefully the strangest of our lifetime, that we won't have anything stranger, knock on something. The fact that we were able to create music to the level that it is, and your production and your genius, and being able to navigate audio movers in the ear, Zoom on the screen, producing all of this at the same time virtually. For most of it, well, you did part of it was in Nashville, part of it was in California, right? Part and part.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think most of our stuff was when I was in Nashville.
When you were in
Nashville. We just
Yeah.
did a session where it was where I was here, but most people were together actually in Nashville, which was a treat. Yeah.
Which was really a treat. Yeah. So when By Heart came out in January, that was our first, and Wild Frontier just came out. And I like got to come to Nashville to be in the same room with the musicians and record a few more songs. And it's just really incredible that we can. When like looking back, did you have any trepidation about like, was there any like, why am I doing this? Or did you feel pretty strongly that we were going to get to your level of like, yes, this is something I can put my name on? Because I think sometimes I mean, for the musicians and the artists and the producer, like when we're all in the room, there's an effervescence, there's the chills, there's all this emoting happening, and you don't necessarily get to feel that through the screen.
For sure.
Was there anything that you're like, what am I doing? Or did it just feel like, no, we're gonna find a way?
It felt like we're gonna find a way. And I think especially like in the beginning, I remember like we had already started talking about working together and producing stuff, and then COVID hit. And so then when COVID hit, I remember being like, okay, well, like, let's figure out a way to make this work, because I think a lot of us are going to go crazy if we're not making music during this experience. Yeah. And, you know, and so it just felt like, you know, we're going to do it. And while this is the first time that I've really gone from tracking, you know, 0 to 100% of the stuff, I had, you know, experience with taking demos before and having players overdub stuff one at a time here and there, and not doing at least the full band session. So this was taking it to the next level, but it wasn't like we had never done anything like this before. But zooming in for the stuff was kind of a new thing. So, but I just have such faith in the players that we got that I just knew that it would work out. And I mean, the only thing that I would say is like, you know, when you go into the studio like we did the other week, you can kind of experiment with directions before you settle on one. So, you know, we did have one experience with one of the first songs where we were almost on tracking. And then we were like, I don't think this is as much of a ballad as we think it is. Maybe we should make this a mid-tempo. And so, you know, we had to go back and retrack the drums and, you know, and some electric guitars, but it worked out, and it kind of, and it was a learning experience, and everything turned out great. I mean, the plus to it is that, you know, when you're in the studio with everybody, there's so many things going on at once, and the tracking is done in an hour and a half. And this way, it's like you really get to hone in on each individual part with each player and experiment a little bit more. And I mean, there's a lot more attention to detail that way. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm used to writing new music and then giving it to the fans and playing it on stage and watching people either like get it or like, you can always tell they're either like filming it with their phone or they're not interested or they're bobbing their head. So this has been a unique thing we haven't been able to like play the music to get that in-person reaction. So seeing it happen, you know, with all the playlists that are coming on, which is really incredible, and all the support from organizations like American Songwriter, it's really tremendous. And I think if anything, it's such a testimony that there's always a way. And and the possibilities are really endless. I feel like if there is, you know, young and up and coming producers that are watching this right now, their question would be like, Alex, where do we start? You know, and you'd say at the beginning. So what would be like 3 tips that you would give up and coming producers? Because I do feel like your song background, because you are such a tremendous songwriter, you have such an understanding of not hiding a song in production.
Sure.
So what would you share?
What would I share? Well, I mean, you know, a lot of the production wise inspiration that I got, or people that I idolized really were people that were my peers. So, and you never know who your peers are going to grow up to be. Like, I'll give one example. When I first started making tracks, one of my friends was Forrest Glenn Whitehead. And I bring his name up all the time. He probably doesn't even know it, but if he figures it out, he's going to be like, you talk about me all the time in your interviews. But
he's awesome.
It's like, you're shocking me. No, but but for anyone who doesn't know, he produced Kelsey Ballerini's first couple of records. And he is just an incredible producer. And he was probably a year ahead of me with like, you know, with having worked on tracks and all that stuff. And I just, you know, had written with him a couple of times and been in his studio and would just be like, well, what's that you're doing in Logic? Or what's that, you know, how did you make that sound? How did you do that effect? And, you know, and he would send me videos and stuff about, you know, how he learned how to do things, and we would text each other. And then he ended up blowing up and being this huge #1 producer. And, you know, I knew he was talented, but, you know, I think like you don't necessarily need to call up Jay Joyce or Dan Huff to learn stuff. I think that there's a lot of quote unquote kids in town that are on the forefront of like what the next cool sound is going to be. And so I think it's just like immersing yourself amongst your peers really. And just, you know, working. And again, like my first opportunities came from my friends. And I think that's just kind of, I think that's my #1 tip. So
willing to like raise your hand and say, hey, how do you make that sound?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I love that. I love that. Well, we have another little fun exclusive clip of Wild Frontier that just came out on Friday that we'd love to share. So Ella, if you don't mind, take a look-see.
What's it called?
Wild Frontier.
She's such a country horse girl.
Right? Yeah. She's out.
She likes horses.
A Montana girl.
Let me ask you this, Alex. How unsynthy or synthy do we want it to be? I'm trying to find it. Not right now. I'm trying to find not necessarily synthy sounds, but you know.
There might be a demo reference and whatever they had something in the chorus that sounded almost a little more piano-y, but it wasn't a piano. It was a little bit higher range. Maybe listen to that. So people who are on here, since we don't have audio movers, he's gonna send like a pass down of his ideas in an MP3 so we can hear it well, and then we'll listen and hop back on Zoom and then kind of hone in on it a little bit more, and he'll give us a couple extra passes. So that'll be
that'd be awesome.
So cool. All right, so I'll just holler at you guys when I get something from Steve and send it to y'all.
Perfect. Kick ass.
All right.
Thank
you. Yes.
Thank
you.
Tones wise, what are you feeling? Is this like this is a more high fidelity sound, right?
Yeah, I think so. Aaron, do you want to chime in on do you have any tone ideas?
Yeah, I think a high fidelity, you're right. I mean, you know, just make it sound good.
I mean, like we're talking like Nashville sparkle pop country.
I think Nashville, Nashville sparkle.
Yeah.
Yes, all of those buzzwords. Yeah.
You like all those words? All right. We're on the same page here. We're on the same page here.
Wait, hold on. Screenshot.
I mean, I've never seen that before. Sometimes I just cannot with myself.
Oh, me too. I was like, wait, why?
What is happening? Also, I'm making us t-shirts.
Oh, okay.
Nashville Sparkle. It's
Nashville
so
Sparkle.
Nashville Sparkle.
Can you make the drums like Nashville Sparkle? Yeah.
Nashville Sparkle. I love that. I love that. It's so fun to watch this music find its homes in all the different places. And I just want to thank you again for wanting to, produce this chick right here.
I mean, who wouldn't? You'd be crazy not to.
Well, it's just been really, I mean, honestly, I've never felt in more a creative space. I've never felt more creative. Like I'm just like writing like I've never written before. And I like can't wait to send you. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to send her this song and this song. And to be able to share this music, with other songs in the past, it's been like one song per year, and it's that radio thing that happens a lot of times. And so now to be able to, just keep sharing the music. And as people find Wild Frontier, they find By Heart. And as people find the next song after Wild Frontier, they'll find Wild Frontier and By Heart. And it's just really cool to watch all that we are building and creating together unfold. Not to mention, we got to co-write some really cool music together.
Absolutely.
Well.
Yeah.
So it's all very, very cool. So I just want to shout out one more time, of course, to American Songwriter for supporting us, for giving us so much love and kindness. And Alex, I can't wait for you to get back so that we can soon be in the same room celebrating. And here's to you making history and just continuing. And this is only the beginning. And I can't wait for Forrest to be calling you up and congratulating you. You're number one. I love it. And yes, and thank you again, American Songwriter, for all your love.
Thank you, American Songwriter.
All right. Adore you. Have an amazing night.
You too. All right. Thanks. Bye.